So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're joining us. Thank you for taking time out of your day for the Salesforce Admins webinar, How Admins Solve Problems with AppExchange Apps. My name is Mike Gerhold. I am the Director of Admin Evangelism at Salesforce. You can follow me at Mike Gerhold. I'm super excited today to be joined by three amazing people. First off is Josie Childs, who is the Senior Director of AppExchange and Product Marketing at Salesforce. And then we'll hear from Kimberly Wargo, who is the Associate Vice President, Salesforce Administrator. That's a pretty great title at FineMark National Bank and Trust. And finally, Jim Minicello, Director of CRM at Monumental Sports. And of course, we have all of their great Twitter handles down there. I highly suggest that you follow them. Of course, it wouldn't be a Salesforce Admins webinar or any webinar for that matter without a forward-looking statement. So just a reminder that Salesforce is a publicly traded company and to please make all of your purchasing decisions based on current features and functionality. And we would love to connect with you, and we hope that you can connect with us. So you can follow us on Twitter at Salesforce Admins, no I. You can connect with other awesome admins in the community using the hashtag AwesomeAdmin. On Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, you can find our pages, which are easily found at Salesforce Admins. And of course, admin.salesforce.com, the one resource to start your day every day to find blog posts, podcasts, and information about our events. As with every webinar, we are recording it. So just a reminder, this webinar is being recorded and the video will be posted to YouTube and the webinar recap page at bit.ly/2JRKYVC. Or you can easily find the recording at the webinar page that you used to register. And I'm sure you'll probably have questions like, is this webinar being recorded? Yes, it is. So for questions, join our admin webinar group, which is bit.ly/admin webinar group. If you're not already logged into the Trailblazer community, if you are, go to Salesforce Admins Webinars, and you don't have to wait to the very end to ask your question. You can ask it now, and we will have team members answering as we go, but be sure to stick around for the live Q&A at the end for Kim and Jim. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our first speaker, Josie, with today's agenda. Josie.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. So today we are going to talk a little bit about how to leverage the AppExchange. So I am going to talk a bit about how you can actually find stuff and use the AppExchange. And then we'll talk about, Kim will talk about using the AppExchange for quick business solutions. So what to do with when you're in a jam. And then Jim will talk about using the AppExchange for more strategic initiatives. We will do our resources. And then, as Mike mentioned, open it up for Q&A. So thank you for joining. So to start leveraging the AppExchange, I just wanted to give a little bit of background about what the AppExchange is and what you can find there. So the AppExchange is the Salesforce store. So just as Apple has the App Store and Google has Google Play, Salesforce has the AppExchange, which is the place where you can go to find everything that you need to extend Salesforce to all parts of your business. So we have all kinds of ready-to-install solutions that includes apps, components, lightning data, Bolt solutions. We recently launched Quip Live Apps. We have industry expertise, so a lot of our partners are very specific in their industries, and they bring all of their industry expertise to those solutions. We've made it even easier to find solutions with our intelligent search and personalized recommendations, and then we've integrated Trailhead and content throughout the site to help guide to the right solution for the problem that you're trying to solve. So there's over 4,000 solutions. We've had over 5 million installs on the AppExchange. 87% of Salesforce customers are using AppExchange apps. So you're in good company if you're already an AppExchange fan. And there's over 70,000 peer reviews on the AppExchange to help you find the right solution and get some feedback from your peers and how they're using different solutions. So I'm going to actually give you a quick demo to show this in real time. So here I am in the Lightning experience, and as an admin in the Lightning experience, I can actually access the AppExchange right from the app launcher. So if I go to the app launcher, you can see here in the upper right-hand corner, visit AppExchange. And what's cool about this is it's going to take you to an AppExchange that's opening here in Lightning. So you don't have to go to appexchange.com, log in multiple times. You can actually find everything that's on the AppExchange right here in the Lightning experience, apps, components, even look at consulting listings. And so this is a great place to start if you kind of know what you're looking for. You want to do a quick and easy install right from within Lightning. But if you're looking to do a little bit more research, or you want to learn a little bit more about these solutions, we recommend going to appexchange.com. So if you click visit AppExchange website here in the bottom corner, this is going to take us to appexchange.com. And the first thing that you'll see here is that I am logged in. So because I am logged in, I'm actually getting suggestions that are personalized suggestions for me. So Appy obviously knows that I love Labs apps and that I love free apps. So all of my recommendations here look to be Labs apps. But the way that these recommendations are pulling is it's actually looking at who I am. So what apps I have installed in my org, what my location is, what type of org I have, as well as things that I've searched, and then things that people like me have searched, and as well as things that people like me have installed. So if you click show more, you'll actually get to see even more recommendations based off of all of these inputs that I've put into as I've started to feed into it. And what's great about this is this will continue to change as I install more things, search for more things, continue to be active on the AppExchange. But if the Appy suggestions for you aren't giving you exactly what you're looking for, you can also go and you can look at listings by type. So here you can see we have things broken out by apps, components, Bolt Solutions, Lightning Data, as well as our consulting partners. You can go to our product collections, and these are curated collections that we do with our marketing teams. So these are all solutions that our marketing teams think that you should know about, as well as things like Quip Live apps, which are our newest addition to the family, the Lightning Experience Transition Toolkit, Small Business Essentials. So all of these different ways of breaking up what our offerings are. Our industry collections, which are all of the different industries that we've curated for. But even if you can't find your industry there, if you search for your industry, it's very likely that we have solutions for you. And then on the Ohana tab, you can get all kinds of content. So this is where all of our great content is living, and some of the content that we'll talk a little bit about today. So now I'm going to pass it to Kim, and Kim is going to dive into how she's been using AppExchange apps to solve specific problems.
Thanks, Josie. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depends on where you're at. I just wanted to give a little background about my experience with Salesforce. I've been on the platform since 2001. I am that old. And as being around Salesforce and involved with Salesforce for well over 17 years, I have become not only a user, super user, to admin, to I'm an absolute evangelist. Everyone in my organization knows how much I love Salesforce and how valuable I know the tool is, and I encourage everyone in my organization to share that love with me. So my role here at Salesforce is not only as the admin, but I'm also a system analyst. I'm a builder of new processes, I'm a trainer, I'm a document writer. So it's my due diligence not only to maintain the data integrity in our system, but I also need to look outside of where my role sits and look inside the organization and see where I can improve processes. So if I see something that's being done either in a manual process, Excel spreadsheets, I always look for a better solution to bring that into the Salesforce platform, not only to improve automation, streamline the process, but to create a really robust and detailed audit trail. And of course, as a financial institution, we like audit trails. So I started with FindMark a little over 2 years ago, and we hadn't brought any apps into the platform before I came on board. So one of the first ones that I had brought on board was Conga. And I want to talk a little bit about my app stack. As you can see my app stack on the slide. The apps in the AppExchange are an extremely valuable tool when there's something that you need to bring to the next level in the Salesforce platform, and you just can't do it in that native environment. There's always an app out there that's going to help you do that. So again, one of the tools that I brought on from the beginning of my time here at FindMark was Conga. So we brought Conga Composer on because we needed to write documents. We needed to write a lot of documents and quickly, and we were doing a lot of these manually. And with that, you're keystroking data into this document, and there's always room for error. So with Conga, we were able to build these documents very quickly. All of that data was brought from the Salesforce platform into these documents, and it's all maintained right inside our database. So there's that integrity and that security. And with Composer, we brought on Conductor later, a few months after, because we realized we needed some more robust report writing. And they also have a really amazing workflow tool that we brought that on board also. So pretty much across my org now, we're using Composer and Conductor. And then of course, with every good document generation program, you need an e-signature program. So we brought DocuSign on a little under a year ago. We brought it on one department, one group in our bank, and now we're using it pretty much across the board. So all of our services are now using that e-signature piece. And again, the beauty of it is it sits right inside the Salesforce platform. It's integrated with Salesforce, and it's literally just a click and run for my associates. It's my work on the back end that they do not see, and their life has now been streamlined and automated. And then from an analytics perspective, we use Rollup Helper. So Rollup Helper is a really great tool because it kind of sits in the background. After you've built it, after you've set it, it just kind of runs for you. So with the native rollup fields in Salesforce, you can only go from child to parent. Well, with Rollup Helper, you can go child to child, child to parent, parent to parent. You can really expand that rollup capability across multiple objects, multiple records. And we needed this to be able to see a full snapshot of our client relationship. We have multiple relationships where they stem from parent to child, to business, to relative, to grandparent, and we needed a tool to be able to see that entire relationship. And Rollup Helper helped us do that. And then Map Anything. So Map Anything was kind of my most recent add-on, and this was really just a true testament of what AppExchange can bring to the game. So about a month ago, a conversation was brought to my desk, and we needed a snapshot. We needed a really visual slide to bring to our board presentation for our shareholders. And it needed to show geographically where the concentration of our clients are. So in order to get that data into, say, a PowerPoint, it would have created a tremendous amount of work. And then they threw words out like we needed to see a heat map, we needed to see average household income. So the tool that I had at the time, I would have had to take my data, take it outside of Salesforce, put it into a third-party system. So right there, I kind of had hesitation because I never ever like my data leaving my platform. And then to bring it into this other system that I wasn't familiar with and try to manipulate that around. And the problem being, I needed this done within 4 to 6 hours. So it was kind of that timeline crunch. Hey, can Salesforce do this? Hey, can you do this? Oh, and can you do it by the end of the day today? So I jumped out on the AppExchange, and I kind of didn't know what I was looking for because we're not a sales-driven organization. We don't market our territory. We don't have traditional salespeople. So I kind of had to figure out what I was looking for. So I did a few keywords, you know, map, heat map, geographical, and it brought me to a couple options. And of course, Map Anything was one of them. So I jumped into their website and was able to get on a little chat dialog box. And as I was talking to the person in, you know, the person hidden behind the chat box, I said, the issue with this is I need this done like yesterday, not even in 10 minutes, I needed it yesterday. So surprisingly enough, my phone rang and we were on the phone within 15 minutes of the representative from Map Anything. And I explained to him what I was looking for. I said, you know, I need to solve this dilemma that I have. I need to get this presentation into my shareholder packet that needs to be presented tomorrow. So I need this done today. So he said, tell me what you need. We'll work on this. We'll get it done for you. But I said, you know, I can get a purchase order if you can help me get this delivered exactly how I need it to look within the next hour. And they did. They were able to build these maps for me, these geographical and heat maps. And the beauty of this was it all lived inside of my Salesforce org. So I didn't have to move my data out of any secured environment and move it into an unsecured environment. It sat right inside my org. And we were able to manipulate this information to exactly how I needed it. So I ran into my CFO's office. I said, I can have this. I showed him the printouts. I said, I can have this done by the end of day today. Can I get a purchase order? Can I get approval to purchase this? And he said, yeah, go do it. So I jumped back on the phone with Map Anything. I said, I'm sending you the DocuSign right now. How fast can we get this? He said, get the DocuSign over. They jumped into my platform with me, and we were able to get these reports, these PowerPoint presentations printed out to not only show that concentration of clients in specific areas, but again, globally. So we have clients all over the world, and we need to see where those clients were. And then I was able to present this in a multitude of views. So here's basically what they call a marker view. You know, here's a concentration of our clients. Here's a heat map of where the bulk of our clients are by a specific service that we offer, whether it's a deposit client, a loan client, a trust client. And then here's a concentration of where that volume of wealth is. And it was extremely valuable. So I was able to hand this to my executive team by 4:30 Eastern time, and then I needed it by 5. So from start to finish, I started having the conversation at 9:30 in the morning, and it was done by 4:30 that afternoon. And when it presented into the board meeting the next day, everybody was like, wow, you know, how did you get this? Where did this come from? This is really impressive. So again, not being a sales-driven organization, it was really difficult to figure out what I was looking for. So I just kind of keyworded stuff in the AppExchange, and I was able to find what I was looking for. So if you're out there and you're not sure what to look for, just throw some keywords in, and you know, the intelligence of AppExchange will bring you exactly what you need. So with that, I would like to throw it over to Mike.
Oh, it was great, Kim. I love the results. Happy board members. That's always a positive outcome.
Yes.
So I would love to introduce Jim Minicello, Director of CRM for Monumental Sports. Jim.
Hey everybody. So yeah, my name is Jim Minicello. I'm with Monumental Sports and Entertainment in Washington, D.C. We are the company that owns and operates Capital One Arena in DC and all the professional sports properties that play here. So that includes the Washington Wizards in the NBA and the Washington Capitals in the NHL. As you can imagine, it is an incredibly exciting time here at Monumental. I myself started working as a Washington Capitals specific employee back in 2008. It's been 10 years and my team is finally in the Stanley Cup Finals. So if you're in the Washington, D.C. area or anywhere near here, everybody should come down to Capital One Arena Thursday, tomorrow, for our Game 5 watch party. It's free, and you know, hopefully we can clinch the Stanley Cup and bring a championship to D.C. tomorrow night. So as far as what my role here is at Monumental, I've been tasked with building and implementing one centralized Salesforce organization for all of our properties, for all of Monumental Sports. So from my standpoint, I'm thinking that we need to build this thing in a very ubiquitous and scalable way. While we do have many different properties, while we do have many different sports teams, essentially I wanted to build something that allowed everybody to use the system in the same way. So what we'll talk about for the moment are the ways that I was able to use the AppExchange to help build that ubiquitous system. And I think the first thing that I'll hit on is just a few of these apps from the Helper suite from Passage Technology. So like Kim had mentioned, she uses Rollup Helper at FineMark. We use Rollup Helper here as well. And one of the cool things that we were able to do with Rollup Helper is something beyond the capabilities of standard rollup summary fields. Rollup summary fields can roll up text value, or sorry, roll up monetary values for you, roll up numerical values, but Rollup Helper can do things like dates and like text. So what we were able to do with our centralized account model was have many different people on the account team. Maybe an account has a ticket salesperson for the Washington Capitals and a different ticket salesperson for the Washington Wizards. I'm actually able to use Rollup Helper when a task is logged against an account to identify not only what's the last activity date, but what's the last activity date for each individual sales staff. So you can actually set up these automated jobs that say, search for users with a certain role, ignore all other tasks that don't have that role, then return the name and date of the most recent task for a user of that role. And that's how we're able to show not only who was the last activity on the account, but who's the last activity from each member of the account team. So Rollup Helper just was able to kind of help us with that solution and allow us to give more visibility to our entire account team so that nobody's stepping on each other's toes with any specific accounts. The Helper Suite's really valuable in a couple other ways as well. Lookup Helper is great from an integration standpoint because we can take information on records that we're integrating from other systems into Salesforce. And when we push those in, you can use specific values on that child record to match them up to a parent record automatically on creation. So you don't need to know the Salesforce ID of a parent record in order for Lookup Helper to automatically match it to the proper parent in Salesforce. And then finally, Storage Helper is fantastic. I think we all know that Salesforce data storage can be expensive at times. It can be hard the longer that your organization is in existence to keep those data storage levels down. Storage Helper allows you to actually set up automated archive jobs based on certain criteria. So we are able to actually set up automated jobs so that any task older than a year is actually archived somewhere so that it's not counting against our storage limits anymore. So the the Helper Suite from Passage Technology is one I highly recommend. But finally, what I want to talk about that solved what would have been a very extensive problem for us is an app called Dashboard Pal, and we were able to do this very quickly. So as I was saying before, we have a lot of different types of sales users in our organization, but they all use Salesforce in the same way. So I wanted to create only one profile for all of these people, and anybody who was on the management side just got some extra permission sets. It's a great way to make sure that everybody can interact with Salesforce in the same manner and switch across departments as they get promoted and still know how to use Salesforce in the same way. But by having only one profile, we are kind of limited to, I have to give everybody access to the same apps, the same homepage, and the same dashboard. The problem that we're facing there is that there are many different staffs for different properties, and their managers they all care about different types of metrics. Somebody on the Washington Capitals ticket sales staff may care about the number of outbound phone calls, where somebody on our corporate sponsorship sales staff cares about forward progress in opportunities. I had dozens of different types of users with different dashboards that they needed to see, and I was either going to have to blow up my single profile model, create a different profile for each sort of user, a different app for each profile, a different homepage for each app with the customized dashboard on it, which was going to take me point and click forever. Or I was going to have to go to our in-house developer whose plate is already full for more than 40 hours a week on this project that we're doing and say, hey, I need you to try to figure out the solution so that people can select whatever app they want on their own homepage. And I thought, before I go and add more to her plate, which is already full, let me go to the AppExchange. They've come through for me before. So I typed in dynamic dashboards in the AppExchange, and I found this app called Dashboard Pal. I read about it, and it was super simple. It's free. It's from Salesforce Labs, and it's a single component that you can drop in on a homepage. And this component has a little gear that, when you click it, allows the running user to select what dashboard they want displayed. The selector actually follows the permissions of dashboard folders, meaning that the current running user is only able to select from dashboards that they're allowed to see. Now, this is fantastic. It seemed like it was going to solve my problem immediately. So I installed it in Sandbox. I tested it with several different types of users, all on the same profile, but with different roles and different dashboard folder permissions. And they were able to see exactly what they needed to see. So I immediately turned around, installed this thing in production. I was able to drive adoption with it because users were now able to see exactly the metrics that they needed to see, whether they were a salesperson individually, whether they were a manager who cared about outbound phone calls or running contests, whether they're a long-term sales cycle like sponsorship, they were able to see exactly what they needed to see. But from my staff standpoint, when we're trying to basically roll out this system for every department in our company, it saved us a tremendous amount of development time, because I was able to do this from start to finish, from the second that I actually landed on the AppExchange to the second it was installed in production, within 20 minutes. It was really a fantastic use of the AppExchange. So thank you very much, everybody, and I'm going to turn this back over to Mike.
Thanks, Jim. Those are some great results. I always love seeing that, and I love seeing dashboard apps. So, of course, we want to send you on your way with some very valuable resources. First is we have a podcast and another webinar you can watch. We'll include these links in our chat and also in the webinar group. So you can hear more about creating an AppExchange strategy, and a webinar that covers the same. There's a great sales app guide that you can download, and a back office app guide that you can download. And of course, it wouldn't be Salesforce without a Trailhead module. So there is also an AppExchange Basics Trailhead module that you can take and learn more about the AppExchange. But it doesn't end there. So we want to give you 3 ways that you can celebrate App Stack Day. And of course, you're doing the first one, so congratulations, give yourself a pat on the back, which is the How Admins Solve Problems with Apps webinar that is happening right now at 10 a.m. Pacific. We have another webinar coming up right behind us on AppStack at 11 a.m. Pacific. And of course, you can share and win the App Fan Stack sweepstakes. I'm so glad I got through that. You can learn more about all of those at bit.ly/appstackday. So just to wrap up, we have some time for questions. Q&A is in the admin webinar group, bit.ly/admin webinar group. There will be a survey at the end of the webinar. And of course, we have our slides available at that link. So Kim, quick question. Sure. If you kind of dove right into the solutions that you had, could you give admins some tips on, when you're given a certain request, kind of how you go about shopping for apps on the AppExchange?
Sure. So sometimes the answer comes to you pretty quickly, and sometimes it doesn't. So if there's something that you need to find and you just don't know where to start or what you're looking for, I kind of associate it with like a Google search. So you go out onto Google, you throw this word in, you don't find it, you throw another word in, you don't find it. You're going to do the same thing with the AppExchange. So in my situation, I was looking for a geographical style heat map. I put in map, didn't bring me what I needed, it brought me too much. Then I put in heat map, then I put in geographical. So I just kind of narrowed my search down based on those keywords, and then it brought me to 4 of the top of the ones that I needed. And of course, Map Anything was that first one.
Nice, great tip. Jim, question for you. I love that you found a dashboard app. I think some of the solutions that we talked about were apps that both helped you, and like Kim's solutions, also apps that help your users. Could you give me any tips or best practices that you have for how you roll out an app or some of these features to your users?
Absolutely. For something like Dashboard Pal, which is very, very simple to use, what we'll do is install it quickly and make sure that we're doing it after our users are out of the system, but send around an instructional communication via email to the entire staff that's affected, and just let them know what the changes are. For something like Dashboard Pal, it's very simple to do that. I can show them in 3 or 4 steps how to click with screenshots and just select the dashboard that they need to see on their homepage. For something like Rollup Helper and Lookup Helper and stuff like that, stuff that the users are going to see the results of, but not necessarily know how it works behind the scenes, those are more complicated processes. So that's something that we're going to do a lot of design work on the whiteboard first to make sure that we've got the process mapped out and that it does exactly what we need it to do. Like I said, in my case, we have teams that are up to 14 people on an account, and to isolate the last activity date from each of those 14 people, we had to design that first, Then we had to build it in Sandbox, make sure it all worked. And then we actually picked a deployment date that we communicated to the staff when they would be able to start seeing that information, and just, again, send around a communication about how it would work and what they would see when they logged in activity and how they would know who else is working on that account.
Very cool. Well, it looks like we're at time, so I'll just remind everybody to post your questions to the admin webinar group in the Trailblazer community if you're not there already. And I appreciate you taking 30 minutes out of your day to learn more about apps in the AppExchange.